Today's guest is all about resilience. She's a leadership coach and a consultant who helps leaders lean into courage, compassion, and resilience. She's got an 18-year career spanning education, international development consultancies, and now she's led global teams through huge transformations. Now she's working as a leadership coach, and she empowers individuals to embrace authenticity, overcome self-doubt, and to build high-performance cultures. A mindfulness practitioner, a runner, a lifelong learner. She brings warmth and honesty to every conversation, and I'm sure that this one will be no exception. Welcome to Leadership That Sells. This is the podcast that helps you lead first and sell more. Now, most sales teams today are just not really teams. They're what we call teams in parallel, working in a similar way, but just not with each other. And most sales managers are still leading like they've got like a football team, when in reality, at the best case, they've got a group of golfers. Now, this mismatch then creates all kinds of pain: poor coaching, bad pipeline meetings, burned out managers, and reps who just drift on. And what we've got is a lightweight reset that will help your managers lead them in the right way, setting really clear expectations, building identity without the huggy fluff, and coaching for autonomy without going hands off. It's not training, it's a mindset shift, shifting a model to fit your team, helping you scale performance and make everything a whole lot easier. And if that sounds like your world, grab the free Parallel Team Playbook at the Practical Leadership Academy website. It is short, sharp, and made for senior people with teams of managers just like you. Astrid Korin, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you, Paul. It's so good to be here.
So I gave you a far too brief introduction there. What did I miss out?
What did you miss out? Well, it's always a bit uncomfortable for me hearing other people speak about my
your brilliance,
CV, my trajectory, brilliance, maybe. You see how I'm trying not to reject that. I'm trying to embrace it and receive it and accept it.
Have the courage.
Yeah, with courage. Yes. So I don't think you've missed much out, really. It has been a 20-odd year career in education and international development. A big part of that is sales. It's fundraising, business development, writing proposals, getting knocked back, striving towards KPIs, profit margins, etc., even within the realm of the not-for-profit sector.
Oh, yeah.
To keep an organization alive by, winning work and satisfying customers. And for some of that time, I was in a business development role. And for the whole time, you're always involved in business development because everybody's got to get stuck in. As you say, it's not that there's a team of people that do the selling. The people that do the selling are embedded into other teams for specific projects and so on. So, that's been a part of the journey, I guess, that is relevant to what we're going to talk about today.
And it's, I think, particularly interesting when I get the chance to speak to people who are involved in leadership and organizational development who have that commercial background, because you get a lot of people who come from either consultancy or you come from the HR or even an operational side, like a business ops or engineering background. And that's valid, absolutely valid. And some of the best executives I've ever worked with have been engineers, they've been finance professionals. But when you're a sales bod, when your arse is on the line, when your job is on the line, if you don't hit the target, that you have this understanding, this clarity of thought, because you can be as busy as you like, with as much quantity of stuff as you like, but it's all just a distraction because you're paid in results. You're ultimately paid in results, and if you don't make a result, you lose your job. Quite frankly, 3 quarters in, you've not done a thing, you're gone. That's it. There's no, it might, actually in a bad team, you might just drift on for a while if your manager hasn't got their head screwed on. But it is the most visible, the most measured, the most central part of any organization is getting the meat up onto the table. In my opinion, successful salespeople are inherently very, very curious. They dig in, they listen so much more than they talk. They really want to understand what's going on. They want to understand themselves, but also your business that they're trying to serve. Now, whether that's a business development, as in I'm trying to sell this company, or it's business development, as in I'm trying to sell things that this company makes to somebody else, it's still this curiosity. How can you spin that curiosity and apply that same skill of curiosity to yourself?
I love that question. I love that question. Primarily because what I think is so important and often missing in leadership development is the building and the development of the inner world and the awareness of ourselves as human beings when we are in positions of power with responsibilities, and how the way that we were brought up, the culture we grew up in, the teachers we had, all of those influences actually have shaped our belief system, our values, and so on, and how all of that manifests in the day-to-day, in the way that we interact with others, in how we perceive ourselves in relation to others, the extent to which we're able to delegate, mentor, coach, or whether or not we keep everything nice and close because we believe that if we need to get something done properly, we need to hold on to it and we need to do it ourselves. All of that is quite deep and relevant to the human, to the individual. And so curiosity really is the superpower to get to some of that stuff. And where I think some leaders fall down is in that lack of curiosity, where they make assumptions that things are the way that they appear to them. Mm-hmm. So they've got their lens on the world, they see things in a particular way and assume that that is the right way, the only way, and that anybody else who thinks differently either is wrong or just needs to learn and understand better and needs to be convinced that actually their way is in fact the right way. So really that curiosity, that ability to pause and ask themselves, actually, what is really going on here? What else might be true? What am I not seeing? What are they saying that I'm not hearing? Or what am I hearing that they're not saying? In order to be able to lead from the inside out. So from a greater sense and understanding of the assumptions and the judgments that they are making, and to be able to pivot towards curiosity. So that skill that great salespeople have, that ability to really deeply listen to another human or another group of humans, or to go through that co-construction process, which you're absolutely right, is so key to success in sales, isn't it? Because the more you listen, the more you understand your client, the more you know what they actually want, the more you're able to play back to them the thing that's going to meet their needs, and the more likely they are to buy from you. And that was absolutely my experience of it in international development. If they are able to harness that curiosity and apply it to themselves, then perhaps they might be able to notice when they're being triggered by situations that are out of their control, notice when perhaps they are falling into self-doubt, self-judgment because they haven't met their KPIs or because they're not on track to meeting their KPIs, and all of the anxiety and the worry that comes up with that. And some of it, as you said in the introduction, is absolutely valid because their jobs may be on the line. But there may also be other things that are more in their control in terms of the rumination and the catastrophizing that actually is deeply eroding in leadership in any kind, but particularly when you're under that kind of pressure. That if they were able to apply their curiosity, notice that perhaps they're feeling a sense of a lack of safety, a lack of certainty, a lack of stability, that is then inviting them into some of the behaviors that maybe they don't want to adopt, then they have greater choice. So they can choose what behaviors they want to adopt, and they can choose to move away from some of the ones that might not be supporting them. Like, for instance, getting super busy with absolutely everything and anything because they're clutching at straws trying to make a sale. If that is coming from a sense of, I am safe as long as I am doing, I'm safe as long as I am busy, then that's going to be perpetuated until the person is able to notice and go, actually, you know what? I'm clutching at straws here because I'm feeling unsafe and I'm feeling vulnerable. But
Yeah.
actually, that's not what I want to do right now. Right now, I need to pick the 2 or 3 things that I think are likely to land, and I need to put all of my effort behind it. So that's a really long-winded answer, but I think it just gives a full circle picture of curiosity as a superpower when it's applied to others, and when we can then reflect it back on ourselves, how that can help to build our own resilience.
I think sales people, sales leaders, commercial people need to have deep understanding of people, the people they're working with, people in general, capital P. And a large part of that has to start with a deep understanding of one's self. And if you want to understand people, first look in the mirror. Fix your own damn problems. At least understand what they are. Understand what your limiting beliefs are, what the things that you run up against again and again. When it's not going right, you double down and you try and brute force things rather than step back. And by brute forcing, what you end up doing is drifting. And you're not actually drifting as in the guy sitting on the couch drinking lager and watching sport all day. But you might as well be. Because your head's down and charging ahead, you feel like you're making progress, but you're really not. And I think what's worse is that sort of behaviour, or not particularly that behaviour, but that behaviour set, when you see it in sales leaders, or leaders of any colour and shape. Because they're the ones who will double down. They're the ones who will force this behaviour in other people. It says, oh, help, we're not doing it. And then they look at their team, and this is my point. They look at their team and they try to buoy their team up. Group hugs. They try to build competition in their team, build leaderboards. They try to let people go, give them their hands off, just empower you. And all of these things are deeply destructive to the nature of how salespeople work and work together, because they don't work together. I'm not saying they're all lone wolves or anything like that, but when you try and make a group of individual performers behave like a team of different performers, they're working similarly, they're not different. They're not going for a common goal. They're not going to have a group hug. They're not going to improve based on a competition. And I've got data that proves this one, actually, some really good data points. You have a massive list of sales performers and you put all sorts of leaderboards and things in place, and guess what happens in 3 years? Nothing. The top 3 to 5 sales performers are still the top 3 to 5 sales performers. The next ones are moving in and out, and the bottom ones just flip around. Doesn't actually improve. So competition isn't a thing. There's all these, the upside and the downside of curiosity, I think, is where we're getting to. Right? So when you respond from this place of awareness, you're talking about just being conscious of it, bringing it out. How can you help people to know themselves better? What'd you do?
Get a coach. I mean, that's an obvious one. I think
And Astrid's number and email address will be in the bottom of this. And she's available, but she's really, really expensive.
I don't know about that. Maybe I'd surprise you. Well, it is really hard to get to know yourself without a mirror, a reflective partner. You can to a sense. So one thing that perhaps people can do is start to notice, is start to practice being the observer of themselves. So Dan Siegel calls it mindsight. People have different words for it, but essentially it's the practice of observing yourself. So the practice of noticing when the body is reacting to something, there's a sort of physical reaction. And instead of just jumping straight on the next thing that the body and the mind is drawing you towards, which might be get busy, get going, next task, next thing. It might be distraction, procrastination. It could be all sorts, depending on how you self-protect, and we're all individual in how we self-protect. Just notice what happens. Notice what happens when you get an email that comes in that's talking about targets for next year, and you see that they're absolutely unrealistic, or you get the response that your bid was unsuccessful, or that a client that's been working with you for 10 years is not renewing their contract, or whatever it may be. Just notice what's going on. Notice your physical reaction, and then get curious. What's going on for me right now? What is happening? What is my fear? What am I assuming? Am I assuming anything about what the meaning of this event, this email, this client not renewing? Am I taking it personally? Am I assuming that this decision that this person has made is a reflection on me, my capabilities, my achievements, my value, my worth? How am I internalizing whatever situation is happening? And that sounds simple, but is really, really hard. It's really hard to do because we live on autopilot. We're in this automatic state of stimulus response, or stimulus reaction, actually, I should say, because a response, I think, is more considered. And the key to any kind of behavior change, even if it's or mindset change, is noticing, is the pause that allows us to notice, to then proactively choose a different way of feeling, being, etc. So we might in that moment choose to reframe how we've received that email. We might choose not to hold full responsibility for it. We might choose to share that responsibility with the person who sent it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Hang on a bloody minute.
Okay.
Right. We might choose to share responsibility for our interlocutor. Wonderful word from the French. For the person who sent it, for the person at the other side of the table. We have a joint responsibility for understanding, for clarity, for emotion, for everything with the person with whom we are working, with dealing, with talking with.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't all our fault.
Mm.
Even
And
though
it's not all their fault either.
no, but
It's
it's not all their fault. That's the thing. Okay, number one place to look if you're having a communication problem is yourself.
Mm.
Right? How have I not been clear? How can I say this better? I'm not expressing myself, explaining myself as clearly as I should be. But what questions can I ask to ensure understanding?
Mm.
Yeah. Sorry, I just derailed you. I jumped in that. I love that.
No,
Absolutely.
I love it. Let's go with it, because I think that's really important too, isn't it? It's that acknowledging, and this is something else that people can probably try and practice, is acknowledging that everything that is relational is co-constructed.
Yes.
So if there's real chemistry between a salesperson and a potential client or team of clients, and they're working really well together, they are brainstorming together, they're co-creating, they're generating something that's new, that's innovative, that's going to make a difference, then there's something that the salesperson is bringing, manager is bringing, and there is something that the client is bringing that together is creating the conditions that are ripe for that kind of creativity, innovation, etc. Equally, in a conflict situation with a line manager that's pushing down targets, right? So they've received the targets from the powers that be, and they're pushing them down or distributing them across their team of salespeople. And then, so if there is a conflict in that relationship, then there is something that the line manager is bringing in the way that they deliver that message, in the way they set the expectations. And there is something, the energy that they're bringing to it, the compassion, the courage, the clarity. And there is something that the individual on the receiving end is bringing, that is their lens and their habits and their beliefs that will influence how that information is received. And that dynamic between the two people is co-created. So you can't really, even though it's tempting, and we like to do this because the brain likes clarity, likes, facts and black and white, because that's a lot easier for us to accept than the grey, is that whatever dynamic is going on is shared. So what is it that, if I can't control the other person, what is it that I can control that is in my purview? And that might just be how I view it, how I receive it, how I frame it. It might not be that there's anything to do. It might be that there is something to do, you know, clarifying, communication, feedback. You know, when you sent me that email, it felt a little prickly. Can we have a conversation about that? Because for me, it landed in this way, and I really would like to share that with you and see if we can have a different type of conversation, whatever that looks like. But it could just be an internal shift.
Landed is a lovely word. There's one of the pastors at my church. He has this terrible habit of saying, "Do you understand that? You understand that, don't you? You understand that?" Whenever he's trying to explain something theological, and I'm thinking, "What?" And there's just such a better way of asking, which is, "How did that land? How? Not you do or even why? Why is quite accusatory, but how? What do you think of that? I don't understand it. How did that land for you? Not well." Gives you space to easily say, "Huh?" Rather than, "Oh yeah, that was perfectly clear." Not, landed. How did that land with you? It didn't land well with me. It landed like a shit ton of bricks landing in my noggin. It hurt.
Yeah.
Yes, beautiful. So using the intrinsic power of a good salesperson, this curiosity and the courage that comes with that, actually, to apply the curiosity, because you can be as curious as you like, but if you don't ask good questions, you ain't going to fulfill your curiosity. Using that to get to know themselves better, respond from a place of awareness rather than drifting through or brute forcing through, because then you end up burning out, you end up burning everything you touch on the journey. Helping people know themselves. I think the thing that I draw people's attention to mostly is to try not to drift through life. And the thing to do is exactly as you said, I think, which is just take that microsecond to say, what's going on? Where am I? What's happening here? Just, what is this conversation? What is this conflict? Is it what is the moment that I'm in? Just lift your head up and say, oh, hang on a minute. Just that microsecond of awareness elevates you from the drifting mundanity of the masses. And I have no data to back this one up, but I would say 99% of the world just bash through heuristically, not responsively. What was the word you used? Reactively. Push button, you put coin and slot, thing happens, one challenge response. And the second you take that second to take that second and say, huh? Turns you into some superhero. Superpower of curiosity. And it's already there in really good salespeople. It's already there. The best ones I've ever worked with are they're deeply interested in people, in stuff.
Yeah.
How do you then use that? Now we've kind of covered this. How do you use that to build your resilience? It is basically take that step back and take the moment to say, where am I? What's going on? And I think the next one is, once you've done that, is then to label it, to say, okay, that is a thing. That is what it is. Because you've got the moment, just the pause itself, whether you do anything with the pause or not, just the pause itself to say, just take the breath. But then the action to say, okay, this is one of them. And then the next one, this like multiple order effects. The next one is to say, this is one of them. And what are my choices now? Sort of kind of self-coaching. What's stopping me? What are my options? Where do I want to get to? And anything you can do to build up that.
Yeah, so I think that on the surface, you'll probably get to a level of understanding of sort of not cause and effect, of Yeah, cause and effect. What happens and then my reaction to it. I think that to what is the sort of next level, which I think is where you get that kind of transformative shift, is where you understand the connection between the stimulus and the response. So, for example, I could be wrong, but I'm going to make a hypothesis that in sales, we have a group of people who, on the whole, because society defines their worth by what they achieve and the numbers that they rack up,
Yep.
they perhaps have also internalized a bit of that. They might have had so it can be chicken or egg. Perhaps they were someone who started off feeling like their worth and their sense of purpose, their sense of contribution comes from what they achieve, right? How much they do, how much they sell, and so they were drawn to the field of sales because that's a great place to be able to prove your worth in the day-to-day. Or conversely, they got into sales, and then because they were being judged on all of these outcomes that were very tangible and measurable, that they started to internalize that they then have a sense of my sense of self-worth comes from the numbers at the end of the month. So understanding that there is a depth to the reaction. So if I'm reacting negatively to the fact that I haven't met a target, or that I've got feedback from someone on the executive team that I have underperformed this month, no matter how that is delivered, if I'm receiving that from a place of my worth is in my achievements, is in the numbers, I'm going to internalize that feedback as there's something wrong with me, I'm not good enough. So my immediate reaction to that is going to be whatever reaction I have developed that has kept me safe from feeling like I'm not good enough, like I haven't performed, I haven't achieved, and therefore my worth is I have no value in this moment. I'm exaggerating for effect, right? But
Not that much.
no.
You're not exaggerating that much at all.
Mm.
You're really not. I mean, I've felt it. I've seen it many times. But no, it's I think the number of deeply thoughtful, philosophically courageous, aware adult salespeople whose sense of worth can be crushed at the end of a month or a quarter when they don't hit a target that's arbitrarily pulled out of my arse, quite frankly, to meet my group number. And it crushes them. And you're thinking, dude, no, it's just shit happens. You've had a bad week, bad month, bad whatever. And as long as it works both ways, I mean, the worth in these things is, have you hit 100 grand this month? Have you sold 100 grand? No. Have you made 300 grand's worth of pipe? Yes. Because if you haven't done this, you've done that. Because if you haven't done one of them, you're gone. Okay? And you would know that anyway, because you're either in the wrong market, you're not doing whatever's not working right. And if you're half decent at what you do, you've done one of them. Or more likely than not, you've done a bit of this and a bit of that. You've sold 50 grand and done 200 grand a pipe. And they both add up to next month being better. If you haven't done the magic target number thing, and worse, you're being mismanaged. And I've done a lot of that too. I've mismanaged so many people. I'm so sorry if you're part of my trail of destruction learning how to do this. If you're listening now, I apologize. You see just damage being done, and folk end up doing it to themselves. It's like self-inflicted.
Well, it's complicated, isn't it? It's society, it's individual experience, it's the role that we're in, it's repetition. So if this is a big part of your daily life, then you're more likely to be more sensitive to it than if it's a thing that you do sometimes and doesn't sort of define your role. And I think just coming back to the question you were asking before about, so what can people do? How can people notice? It's that trying to get underneath that first level of self-awareness to going, actually, why am I so upset by this?
What's triggering me?
Yeah, what is it that
What's setting me off? Yeah.
what meaning am I making of this that is causing this considerable emotional, physical response? Because if it wasn't, if it doesn't have depth and it is not meaningful to us, then we won't react to it.
No, no. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, and in part, you can. I don't know. This is a conversation, an entirely different conversation, probably. But in part, you've got people who turn up for the paycheck, and you need a lot of people who turn up for the paycheck. We need that in the world. And there are people who are materially invested in the results that they want to achieve. And both, I think, are damaging. There is no, I don't know, what is the future of work? How do we actually all just rub along and get things done without damaging ourselves and damaging the people who work for us? If you have to put pressure on somebody to achieve something, is that thing achievable? Well, maybe, maybe not. How do you find out? Well, you put pressure on your team to see if they can do it. And if it's not, and they burn out, well, it wasn't achievable then. But I've just managed to, so it's just, it's
really hard.
It is just, it's not, I think the one, if there's one thing I've picked up with the years, is that you can absolutely abuse your team. Mm-hmm. Totally do this. And you can do it intentionally and on purpose. But you can do it with clarity and with honesty and say, we're going to do this, and it's going to be mean and it's going to be unpleasant, and we're going to push like the devil to make this work. But you can only do that when you've built up the trust capital. That we're doing this, I've got your back. Mm-hmm. It might work. If it doesn't work, we're still going to have plan B, which means we're all going to have the joy of continued employment. Or even not, if that's the clarity, we're going to take a risk here, we're going to do this, you want to play along? I'll go for that. Some people will say yes, some will say no. As long as you have that done with honesty, and you've set the foundation as such that you can shake the building really, really hard, but the foundations are there. Mm-hmm. You've got that in place. Mm-hmm. What I see is you see new people coming into teams and they say, I'm going to shake things up. And they do. They start pushing things around, pushing people around. And, dick waving contests, especially even for the girls, right? It doesn't really matter. It's just a big, I'm the great I am. You go. Mm-hmm. And you have people look at them and say, life's too short, mate. Sorry, not interested. And you're an arsehole, by the way. I'm gone. And they're the best performers. And you get left with the dregs. The C players are the ones that are still there. So it is this monstrous dichotomy. It's not even a dichotomy, it's a trichotomy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really complicated. I definitely don't have the answers for that. And
well, if you did, we'd all be millionaires, Rodney.
Forget this coaching malarkey. Yeah.
Let's go shift some dishwashers. It'll be easier.
But I love what you're talking about in terms of honesty and transparency, right? To know where you stand and to be very clear about expectations. This is how it's going to work. Not try to bullshit people, for want of another word. It's a supportive environment. Come and join us, and to have all of this support. And then, but by the way, if you don't make this target, then you're out.
Well, exactly. I mean, what? That's making the game up.
Something really interesting there about the people who come in, and I've seen this so many times. So a new role is advertised, or an old role, somebody's moving out, and someone comes in, and it's co-created, but the organization has set this person up to be the person that comes in, that revolutionizes things, that turns things around, that gets the oil tanker to swing in the opposite direction. And so they come in and they have to hit the ground running. Please, listeners, if you are listening to this and you are coming to a new role or you are hiring for a senior position, do not hit the ground running. It causes so many problems. So if you want to set up a new team, a new function, a new way of being, a slight pivot, whatever it is, you have got to take the time to understand the people and the history and how you got to where you got to, and all the efforts that these people have put their working lives into so far to get to where you are, before you come in and rubbish the whole thing and decide that it's going to be completely different because that's the only way to save this organization. Yeah. So don't do that, please.
Yes, and frankly, see if you do it again, I'm going to find you, and we're going to have words because and you still see it. It just happens all the time. It just happens all the time. That's disastrous. Astrid, where can we find you when we need you?
So I have a website, and that's astridkorin.com.
Link will be in the description. Link will be downstairs. Yeah.
Yeah. You can find me on LinkedIn. Again, just search for my name. I'm quite unusual, so I don't think there are multiple Astrid Korins out there. My last name starts with a K, so Korin. And that's it. I don't do other social media. It's a very intentional choice for me. It's LinkedIn and my website. And you can find, there's a contact me button on the website if you'd like to have a chat.
Beautiful. And what are you working on that's exciting you at the moment?
I'm so glad you asked that. So at the moment, I have a program for leaders called Inside Out Leadership, which won't surprise you. And it is a curation of tools, approaches, paradigms from the field of coaching, psychology, leadership, and mindfulness. And it's all geared towards helping leaders do exactly the sort of thing that we've been talking about, being able to notice what's going on, go within, be curious, understand themselves better, and then to be able to choose responsiveness over reactivity, and therein to build their resilience so that they can not burn out, they can hold better boundaries, they can let go of things that are outside of their control, and be more focused on the things that they can influence. So that's Inside Out Leadership, and we have done now 13 cohorts, and it's going really well. So at the moment we are updating it. We have a new associate, not so new anymore, but a clinical psychologist, Roger Bretherton. He's joined us, and he has brought so much wisdom and nuance to what we've been doing already for the last 3 years. So we are updating the program. It's going to be just a little bit more streamlined, a bit more sort of sequenced in the way that it's delivered, but essentially the core of it will stay the same, and that will be ready to launch in January 2026. It will come with an app with prompts for exercises, mindfulness practices, and so on, which we are hoping will help the transition from knowledge to implementation to behavior change. And there'll be an open cohort running from February 2026. So if anybody's interested in that, let me know. And we also do in-house cohorts for organizations that want to shift the dial on culture. That we tend to work with the kind of most senior leaders to try and affect some culture change. But that's the big thing at the moment. So it's the revamp of that program and the launch of Sustaining and Going Deeper, which is going to be a follow-on program for alumni to keep the practice going, to keep it live, and to continue the good work that they start on the program.
Magnificent. Astrid, if there was one message you could take to the world, what would it be? I'll give you 10,000 billboards and a huge marker pen. What are you going to write?
Oh my God, it's impossible. I really struggle with these.
That's why you ask them, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just talk randomly for a few seconds to give you some time to think, because I just sprung this on you. But it's a magnificent question to really help you to focus in on what is core to either you, your practice, your soul, your life, your existence on this earth. What's the one message you want to share with the planet?
Okay. I think I have it. It's cheesy. Is that okay? Can I bring some cheese?
Cheese is good.
Okay.
Cheese is good.
It's you are enough.
Yeah.
You are enough. Just the way you are enough. You are not perfect. You are flawed in many ways. And I'm speaking to myself as much as to you, as much as to your listeners. And that's okay. And we can continue and evolve and grow and learn as long as we accept ourselves just as we are. But the moment that we decide that we are not enough, we will be operating in a way to try and prove ourselves that we are enough. And that doesn't lead to learning, growth, etc. So you are enough. That's my billboard.
You are enough. Astrid Korin, you are enough. Thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you.